Stop right there. One more step and I'll shoot. That's how it started, me face to face with 3 security guards and a barrel pointed right at my chest, the morning air so cold it almost cracked the steel of that AR-15 glinting in the sun. Behind them a big red sign, private property. No trespassing like some kind of dare. Only what those guards didn't know, what maybe the whole HOA had forgotten, is that I was the one who designed every inch of this road. Every curve, every slope. Permission? I didn't need permission. I was the builder. And if they wanted a war over who could drive up my mountain well, I'd show them what happens when the road builder decides to start tearing down the fences. My name's Marcus Blackwood. I spent 25 years as an architectural engineer in Denver. Shopping centers, office buildings, neighborhoods, projects that made other people money, built reputations I never got to enjoy. I watched my dad work himself to the bone, die of cancer before he could ever slow down. That hospital room. You don't forget holding your father's hand while machines beep out the last seconds of a man's life. I swore right there I wouldn't make the same mistake. So at 45, I walked away. Bought 40 acres up in Montana, steep slopes above Clearwater Lake, same place my dad took me fishing, where he used to say, "We'll build a cabin here someday, son." He never did, but I would. Only problem, the land had no road, no access, nothing but a brutal vertical climb. Most folks would have walked away. Not me. I spent 14 months mapping every inch, calculating the grade, tracking runoff, planning for snow so deep you could lose a truck in it. I hired locals, ran the machines myself. Built a $240,000 road, 12 culverts, 6 retaining walls, a grade that never went above 8%, even as we climbed 1,500 feet. The kind of engineering you only do when it matters, when it's personal. It wasn't just a road. I built in backup systems, hidden drainage pressure points for controlled slides, monitoring gear just in case. Years of working disaster sites makes you paranoid. Never thought I'd need those tricks for people. Then came Karen Steele. Moved in from Oregon, 52, polished to a mirror shine, the kind of woman who always gets her way. In weeks, she was running the neighborhood, organizing meetings, preaching about community safety and protecting the environment, ran for HOA president, and nobody challenged her. I figured what could go wrong? Let her play politics. I just wanted my cabin, my road family coming up for summer. First meeting under her reign, PowerPoint slides about my road. She said I'd wrecked wildlife patterns, claimed the road damaged the ecosystem, flashed charts and pictures, dragged out testimonials about noise and erosion. Her solution: put my road under HOA community management for environmental oversight. I pulled out my environmental studies. 3 agencies had signed off before I dug a single ditch. Showed off erosion controls, wildlife corridors, runoff improvements. Karen listened, nodded, smiled that patient smile, then let me know how things would really be. Individual rights must be balanced against the community's welfare, Mr. Blackwood. A polite warning that the gloves were coming off. Weeks later, I learned Karen had quietly bought 4 plots around the lake cheap from elderly folks who seemed spooked into selling. The puzzle started to come together. Then one Friday, she called an emergency HOA meeting, claimed there was an environmental crisis, and announced the HOA would temporarily restrict access to sensitive areas until a comprehensive ecological assessment was done. That meant my road. Only authorized personnel allowed. Monday morning, I woke up to an 8-foot fence topped with razor wire, 4 security guards in tactical gear, and a sign reading HOA Conservation Area, authorized personnel only. The guards were pros led by a guy named Brian Mills, ex-military, polite but absolute. I asked how Karen got a permit to build on my land. He just smiled and told me to use the main access road. It was all so polished, so planned. But here's the thing. Instead of seeing environmental scientists with clipboards, I started noticing drones, commercial grade, flying regular patterns, morning and night cameras tracking every move. Bright orange paint marks appeared on trees, numbered in sequence, mapped in a grid. I checked the paint forestry grade, the kind used in timber operations. Then there were the international calls Karen was making in the middle of the night, 15 minutes each. Every other night, numbers traced to nowhere. Machinery ran deep in the forest at odd hours, industrial, not environmental. It felt less like conservation, more like an operation. Word spread in the community, flyers with carefully cropped photos, meetings where neighbors whispered about my destructive development. Even folks who'd once waved at me now avoided my eye. The HOA sent a formal letter urging me to respect the will of the neighborhood and cooperate with reasonable conservation measures. Right. Digging into public records, I found Karen's shell company, Mountain Heritage LLC, had applied for permits to remove hazardous trees over 500 acres, including my property. These permits allowed almost unlimited timber removal with barely any oversight. That's when it hit me. Karen wasn't saving the forest. She was lining up a timber harvest. I documented everything: drones, markings, machinery, set up hidden cameras, tracked movements, and saw workers selecting massive old-growth cedars, the kind protected by federal law. They worked fast, used pro gear, marked each tree for export. This wasn't a backyard operation, it was industrial scale. I brought in a timber specialist, Jake Morrison, who confirmed these were endangered trees worth up to $80,000 each overseas. Called in Sarah Collins, an environmental attorney. She said what I'd found could put people away for decades. That's when Karen fired back. I got a cease and desist letter from her lawyer, Thomas Bradshaw, accused me of trespassing, interfering with conservation, demanded I tear out my road or face a $750,000 lawsuit. Sarah dug into Bradshaw. Turns out he'd been suspended for timber fraud and money laundering. Not exactly a coincidence. Things got darker. Drones with thermal imaging guys in black tactical gear snooping around my property, testing my locks, staying out of sight. Then the call. Distorted voice. Your wife Emily takes piano on Thursdays. Your daughter Sophie's at karate Fridays. 48 hours to leave Montana or your family gets hurt. Next morning, photos Emily and Sophie shopping in Denver, faces clear as day. The message, 47 hours left. I called Tony Ritchie, a private investigator. In 24 hours, he sent back a file Karen Steele didn't exist. Her real name, Karen Whitfield, career criminal with a history of illegal logging in 4 states, working under 3 aliases, always posing as an environmental activist. She was tied to Victor Pierce, a guy tracked by Interpol for international resource theft. They'd been prepping my mountain as a final harvest, $200 million in timber, and my road was their key. My engineering had enabled this, and now my family was in real danger. When Emily called in tears, "There's a man following Sophie. The police can't do anything I knew I couldn't run. Not just for me, but because if I did, Karen would finish stripping the forest, vanish, and nobody would stop her." Brian Mills, the head guard, reached out in secret. Said he didn't sign up for this. Asked to meet. He told me everything: big shipment going out that night, 3 trucks worth $2.5 million. Karen herself leading. They'd been ordered to eliminate any witnesses. Brian gave me the routes times and confirmed my family was still at risk. That's when it all clicked. I'd built that road with emergency systems, drainage channels that could trigger a controlled slide pressure points to create a safe but inescapable trap. I coordinated with Sarah and the FBI if I could pin Karen's convoy at a certain place they could swoop in. At 10:30 that night, I activated the system. Water gushed through the slope, gave way right as the trucks reached the curve. They dropped into a 12-foot pit. No one hurt, but no way out. I uploaded all footage, GPS evidence, straight to the feds. Within half an hour, the FBI and state police surrounded the scene. Karen's files, shipping records, even illegal weapons were all right there. And then the final twist: Dale Murphy, the other security chief, turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. Every threat he'd made was to keep his cover. With my evidence, they took down the entire network. Karen, Victor, Pierce, 15 shell companies, $120 million seized. Karen got 28 years for racketeering and timber theft, her crimes described as an assault on America's natural heritage. The forest got protected status, My road became a trailhead for scientists and hikers. Brian Mills started a legit conservation security firm. The HOA elected a real leader, Margaret Thompson, who built a transparent, cooperative community. Property values went up. Folks actually wanted to live near a protected forest. Emily wrote a book. Sophie won a state prize for a school project on stopping illegal logging. And me, I wound up consulting for the National Forest Service, talking to universities about sustainable engineering, using the same skills that once built roads for profit to protect something that matters a whole lot more. 6 months later, I got a call reminding me how much your life can change when you stand up to the untouchable. Would you have done what I did, risked it all to save your family in a forest? Or would you have walked away? Drop your thoughts below, because I know there are folks out there who think they're HOA presidents watching through binoculars right now. And honestly, you might not be wrong. You might not be. If you stuck with me this far, share your story. Tell us where you're watching from, what you'd do if someone tried to steal your land, your legacy, justice, community, survival. It's never as simple as the rules say. Let's hear what you think.